Timeline of the Wings project.
Thank you. I appreciate you honoring my request to come in here tonight. In previous meetings where I've addressed you all, I've said that at any point in time, this project sort of changes in status, it's going to move to the next level, and I would ask for the opportunity to come visit with you and give you a briefing as to where we are. So that's what I'm here to do tonight. I was actually last year, I was looking at my notes on August 24th, 2009. And at the time, I was asked to come here to, first off, clarify some misinformation that had been in the press and visually communicating to leadership that had to do with the repair work of the collapsed culvert that is on the property immediately north of the Burlington Northern right-of-way. So we were able to successfully do that, and at the same time, coincidentally, there was some misinformation in the press that communicated that this owner had been sued by the EPA as relates to some operations, and that was not a true statement, and I was able to clarify for that also. But probably the most important thing out of that is that the owner was still seeking permanent funding for the project at that point. The previously committed investment banker had actually failed after the financial collapse in September of 2008. And he was working aggressively towards it. And probably the biggest change in status today that brings me here today is really a follow-up to a letter that Wayne's attorney provided to the city attorney at the beginning of February that said that a commitment agreement had been agreed to fund the overall project. And that's significant news because it allows many things to be able to go forward. And I'm also here to tell you that it has committed the availability of dedicated funding is needed to complete what is this overall project. And when I, from my perspective, certainly what's been planned for the Crystal City location is obviously very, very important, but it's sort of one of three aspects. The first being the mining property proper to be able to resume underground mining operations and processing there, and then being able to transport one of the 5 minerals that will be mined at that location here, which is the magnetite iron ore that will be bulk shipped. So, but the other thing that's happened since September of 2009 is that there has been a lot of meetings with various regulatory agencies in trying to determine what the best approach is for permitting of the overall project. And again, I'm talking about all 3 locations when we come into that. And we've had a lot of success there. My guess from some comments that I've heard tonight, that many of you saw a recent press release from the EPA, and it was in the Business Journal as well. And frankly, that was the culmination of 6 months of dialogue and negotiation from this to clean up what was a tremendous amount of pre-existing conditions that were there from the ownership that was bankrupt prior to Wings acquiring the property. And it was frankly a very detailed thing, but we're really pleased with how it's ended up. We concluded all those negotiations in January, and in February we issued all permanent operating permits for the mining property from, for example, the Corps of Engineers and the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. And probably most importantly is that those permanent, it's not only permanent operating permits to operate the mine, but it is also, if you will, our construction activities at the Peak Ridge location to begin the refurbishment process there. Probably the more significant part of that is that because we've looked at the project as a whole, we were able to clearly define with those folks then as as we continue with our engineering, what is the information that's needed for the specific approvals as we go into the pipeline and then the Crystal City property, and that is very important. I can also tell you that as of the second week in February, we actually started construction at Pea Ridge property, the refurbishment of those facilities. And it's moving along fairly well. Probably one of the other big issues that happened over this past time that I was gone is that we have been testing various technologies that will actually reduce the iron ore and create the pellets, as we talked about. In other words, it takes, it's going to be long-winded, but when the crushed ore comes here in a slurry, it's about 70% pure. And the goal is to get it somewhere north of 99% pure to be able to sell it to the people who need it. And I'd be happy to pass this around. This is that is an inlet that is one of many that was produced from Pea Ridge iron. And so we've been able to test several of the technology processes. From that, we got the preliminary emissions data, which is a very important part of how we proceed from this point going forward, and amongst other things, the air permit, which I know has been of great concern here. But it also has given us a lot of other important information in final process engineering, because we know more about the particulars of each technology, the operating expenses, what it takes personnel-wise, and specifically what we're going to need space-wise to be able to accommodate 4 million tons a year of the magnetite film here. So we're really pleased by that. The other thing is that those ignits have also been sent to what will be the consumers of that product. As I mentioned before, the purpose of this is it's a very unique chemistry of iron ore that is used to manufacture new steel from almost 100% recycled steel. Of the 26 mills in the United States that currently do this, all of that product is imported. Either 75% comes from Brazil, the other 25% comes from Europe. This is the only known deposit in North America, and the test runs that we did with all those potential customers with Pea Ridge pellets were very successful. So that if you will, consummates the fact that these people want to buy this product here, because amongst other things, it's a slightly higher grade, but the costs to be able to produce it, and probably more importantly, ship it, because of the opportunity of the large loading facilities as well as the 100-car unit trains is huge. So that's a big situation. And to that point, the other probably significant activity that I've been involved in for the last 9 months has been working with the transportation people in terms of the infrastructure building and rebuilding that's needed to make this happen. So that gets us to today.